I like to refer to this as the story of Imelda. And the reason I call it Imelda is that I grew up in Mexico in a little mining town many years ago, and we had a servant who was from a very unserved and not very educated family who worked for us by the name of Imelda, and she had two little children. Imelda was bitten by a scorpion when we were in this little mining town in northern Mexico, and she had this belief that she didn't trust doctors, and so she wouldn't accept any medical help, and because of her lack of education and appreciation for the fact that she really needed the help, she died. And as she was dying, I can never forget the look in her face, asking somehow for help, that was truly touching, and I never forgot about it. So you fast forward to 18 months ago, and our Rotary Club, Palm Desert Rotary, was invited to go out to Thermal to work with the Galilee Center for Rotarians at Work Day. And we got there and we discovered that the Galilee Center is distributing food for 250 people. 4 meals for 4 days, 4 meals for 4 people, 2 meals a day. And that adds up to 32 meals times 250 families is 8,000 meal equivalents per day that they distribute every Thursday. When we were there, we discovered that the 2 founders of the Galilee Center, Gloria Gomez and Claudia Castorena, who were the founders of Martha's Village, are also from Mexico, and one of them, Claudia, is from a town that is 30 kilometers from where I grew up. So we bonded very quickly. And she said to me, Ricardo, let me tell you something. The people out here are hungry not just once a year or once a month. They're hungry all the time. Now these are working people. They work hard. They basically are in agriculture. But they don't earn enough money to even support their own families as it relates to food. So we went back to our leadership in Palm Desert Rotary and said, is there something that we can do to help this cause that is so evident on a frequency that is more than once a year? And we made a decision to basically make it a recurring project where we would go out every Thursday with 4 or more Rotarians to help with the distribution of food. And we've done that. We've been able to keep that commitment. In addition to that, though, some of us thought, if there are hunger issues out here in Thermal and Mecca, what other issues might there be? There must be medical issues. There must be education issues. There must be water and sanitation issues. And sure enough, with the due diligence and detective work that we were able to do through organizations like the University of California Davis Research Center, which just published a very comprehensive report talking about the plight of the workers throughout all of California, including the East Coachella Valley, and the Riverside County Health Assessment Research Center, HARC, which publishes every 2.5 years a complete book of statistics that tell you what's going on out in the East Coachella Valley. We learned, for example, that 47% of the people out there have incomes that are under the federal poverty level. Over 75% of the people out there access food pantries. 47% of teenage girls will end up pregnant It's the highest teen pregnancy rate in the United States, according to the HARC statistics. 2.5 kids out of 3 are overweight or obese. It's kind of a contradiction that they're hungry, they don't have enough food, but the problem is that they have malnutrition, and that's obviously bad for proper health development. An average of 8 people will sleep in trailers that are built for 2 to 4 people in sleeping bags because there's no room for furniture. The youth is really challenged out there. The high school dropout rate is 2 times the national average and over 1.5 times the state of California average. The Coachella Valley Unified School District, where we have done a lot of work interviewing the superintendent of schools, Darrell Adams, and other people, is ranked 18th out of 19 in almost all academic measurements in Riverside County. The unemployment rate out there is over 22% versus 12% in the county and about 9% in the state. So any way you look at it, this region is crying out for help. And Rotary can provide a lot of the help. We certainly aren't in a situation where we're going to be able to solve all of their problems or even make major inroads, but we can do quite a bit anyway. And so what we said to ourselves is, how do we identify some doable projects that will allow us to feel good about what we're doing and also show other Rotarians, the community at large, and Rotary International, including the foundation, that yes, we know what we're talking about, we know that there's a need, and we know that we can get a few things done. So what we decided is the Galilee Center needs a new refrigeration unit for their building in Mecca. We can provide that, $12,500. There are thousands of trailer parks out there where these people live. Most of them don't have good water. Arsenic levels are way too high. Sometimes there isn't water at all. So what we will do is identify 14 or so trailer parks, and see if we can't provide initially $10,000 to $15,000 worth of water filters that the county of Riverside will help us support in terms of changing out the necessary parts so that they last on what we call sustainable basis. And what we did is we got a matching grant that consisted of some money from our club, La Quinta, and then subsequently almost all the other clubs in the desert for amounts as low as $100. We got a club in Canada that contributed $4,000. We got some money from our district, and Rotary International, the Rotary Foundation, came up with some matching funds so that all of a sudden our money ended up being over $30,000. And that's the concept of leverage that I am so convinced that we can continue doing in order to take the scant funds that we have and multiply them so that we can make a bigger impact. The fact that we were able to get that matching grant not only done but funded and distributed opened a lot of eyes. It opened a lot of Rotary eyes. It opened a lot of eyes in other places. For example, the Regional Access Project Foundation, which has some people on the board that we're pretty close to, invited us to come and make a talk about what we're doing in the East Coachella Valley. And we told them basically the same story that I'm sharing right now. They said, if you have a project out there that is addressing some of these humanitarian needs that you have just outlined, don't turn it down for lack of that last $5 or $10 or even $15,000 or $20,000. We will help you. And that's one of the things that is a significant departure from anything that at least our club has done in a long, long time, if ever. And that is involving other members of the community who have an interest similar to ours in trying to meet some of these needs. The Berger Foundation, the Clinton Foundation, with whom I'm meeting tomorrow, they have also come to us now and said, we want to hear your story. So it turns out that I've been on a little bit of a mission talking to Rotary clubs and other organizations in the community who might have, just possibly might have a legitimate interest in partnering with us so that we can go further. We've been very active in helping the Galilee Center develop. 5 or 6 of our board, of our Rotarians in Palm Desert Rotary are on the board, some on a somewhat temporary basis because we wanted to help them get some organizational structure and discipline so that when they're going out asking for money, they can say, we have bylaws, we have committees, we know what we're doing. We helped them. One of our Rotarians, as a matter of fact, who's a retired manager at Lowe's, was very instrumental in helping them finish out the building in Mecca that was dedicated 2 weeks ago, and where a lot of the distribution of clothing and food and toys at Christmas time and turkeys at Thanksgiving will be occurring soon. So we helped finish out that building in addition to the fact that we continue to go every Thursday night. So the Galilee Center has been one of the pivotal points that we've rallied around in order to address some of these needs. Another one is Hidden Harvest. Christy Porter has this organization that's, I believe, about 12 years old, that goes through these different farmlands and picks up that last row, she calls it, of carrots or whatever the food might be that does not get harvested, and she is allowed to go in and harvest it with workers that she pays a little bit more money to than the normal wages earned by most of the people, and then she gives that food away. So that's fresh produce. They need some transportation vehicles. Rotary can provide it. So our next grant, which will be a Future Vision Global grant under this new program that just started a month and a half ago, maybe, this Rotary year, will include some air conditioning for the Galilee building. We did refrigeration before. And it will also include a transportation vehicle, a nice pickup truck, for Christy Porter and her Hidden Harvest organization. This morning, we talked to our Interact Club at Palm Desert High School. One of the things that's a passion for many of us, and certainly for me, is this question of guidance, career planning, mentoring, and fellowship for youth. Gangs, addictions to drugs, teen pregnancy, all of this is symptomatic of a society that's living in squalor and just doesn't have anything healthy to do. Now, the Boys and Girls Club of Coachella Valley has a building out in Mecca that's a year and a half old. It's beautiful. We are working with them. And one of the things we plan to do is bring our Interact Club from Palm Desert High School out to the Mecca Boys and Girls Club, bring in high school kids from Thermal, Oasis, Mecca, and North Shore on a Saturday and promote some good, healthy fellowship through games, maybe contests. But in addition to that, we're working with Rite Aid and they're going to provide flu shots for people that can't afford flu shots, but need them. And so we'll have some volunteer pharmacists and nurses and doctors who are administering probably 200 to 250 flu shots, while there is other activity going on, because not everybody gets, a flu shot takes 10 seconds by the time it's your turn, or 30 seconds. I think they told me that they can do something like 50 or 60, it's about one a minute, an hour, if everything's set up right. So we're going to be doing that in November. It looks like the first or second Saturday in November, and we will be working with the other Rotary clubs here in the Valley to see if you would like to participate in that. It would give Rotarians a chance to go out, be involved with a project that is contributing to meeting some of these humanitarian needs. So the East Coachella Valley Health Initiative is likely to provide enough project work for Rotary in this part of the world for years, because there are over 45,000 people out there that aren't going to be crawling out of this circle of poverty anytime soon. One question which has come up is, are we helping the illegals? Well, the answer is, we don't know. But we do know that over 65% of these people have been here 3 or 4 or 5 generations and are here legally. The problem is that from father to son, or grandfather to father to son, or go back as many generations as you like, it is tough for many of them to break themselves out of that vicious circle of poverty and do what Dr. Ruiz has done, for example, because his family used to work in the fields, as he told us this morning, and he was able to go and get an education and become a doctor. But that doesn't happen to too many of them. And Rotary does have a role. Our work is appreciated. It has to be done out there. We can't say, why don't you come into Palm Springs or Palm Desert, we'll take care of you. Logistically, it doesn't work, and you know what? Culturally, and I mean, these people have fears, and they are human beings. And so, but when we go out and visit with them, and they know that we're their friends, it reminds me of Imelda, the maid who was bitten by the scorpion, and her dying words, which were, "Thank you for trying to help me. I hope God takes care of me." And that's what these people are basically saying, because they have strong faith, and they say, "God bless you. Thank you for helping me." Every time we go out there, and it makes for wholesome weekends for my wife and I after having gone out there on Thursday. So basically, that's the story of the East Coachella Valley Health Initiative.